In days of great peace, the technique of Vichara, the simplest things are sometimes the most difficult to achieve. When we try to shut out all the whims and fancies of our restless mind and to concentrate on the one chosen for a definite purpose, the mind fights desperately in order to resist control. It depends upon our will who wins this fight. Find out who is the creator of thoughts, and you have achieved the goal. Such is true realization. But it is too whimsical and needs restless effort for its understanding. I began to work with Vichara for years before I met Maharshi, and the method, according to his teachings, is as follows. To immerse oneself in meditation, making a clear impression on the outer mind that the real self cannot be any transient thing, such as the body, emotions, or mind. When this fact is strongly established, without any doubt in consciousness, then I try to fill every possible moment with the inquiry, who am I? When any other thought enters the mind, one crushes it with Vichara. The more determined the perseverance, the better the result. The restless mind begins to give up the struggle. As I substitute every approaching thought with the magic Vichara, the periods of absolute quietness become longer. At first, it's only a few seconds, but with constant practice there come minutes of unruffled peace. The most important thing is to catch and remember what was most helpful in reaching that peace of mind. I cannot describe that process in my consciousness because it is above and beyond the activity of the mind, and therefore cannot be expressed in words, which belong to the mental realm, but each earnest student will have the same experience. Wherever I was, Vichara was with me, walking in the street, sitting in trams and trains. In fact, all day long, when my mind was not immediately engaged in some necessary activity. During the first months, I counted the inquiries, putting a number after each one. Who am I? 1. Who am I? 2. And so on. When circumstances compelled me to break the work, I noted the number in my memory, or if the break had to be longer, I wrote it on a slip of paper, carried in my pocket for the purpose. For the next few days, the figure of 1,000 was the highest. Later, 7,000 and more became an easy mark. When I learned to fill every moment with Vichara, excepting those of speech and compulsory mental occupation, the counting was discarded as unnecessary, for then the mind had learned to remember Vichara automatically. The important part was not to repeat Vichara with the mind, but to saturate each inquiry with a strong desire to know, who am I? Then the results were peace of mind and a power to use it after my own will, as a force apart from the individual. The average man believes in his ignorance that his body, emotions, and mind constitute himself. The disciple trained by a master overcomes this falseness, and this is the turning point in his spiritual development. Being a sine qua non, SINEQUANON, for his progress on the path. Being under dominance of his mind, the man is only a slave, and realization is not possible for those enslaved by the mind or the senses. The spiritual aspect is also clear. In using it, you are seeking your legitimate inheritance, aiming directly at the very source of life. Other experiences made possible by the use of the inquiry, who am I, are given in other chapters. The whole problem of life is wrapped up in the Vichara. Every religion and every spiritual master affirms that life in its essence is eternal and indestructible. But what is that life? Maharshi reveals, and the disciple realizes, that eternal life is none other than uninterrupted consciousness. To reach that stage means to reach the immortality of spirit, of reality. That is the goal and the ultimate aim. There is nothing else. Meditate upon this, and the truth will be made clear even to the outer mind. Such are the heavens promised to the righteous and the saint, as told to us by Christ. For them there is no death anymore. How clear now are the words of the great teacher of humanity. And from the other aspect, it is clear why, for an undeveloped human being, there are and must be periodical interruptions in consciousness connected with suffering and the fear of death. If the highest level of consciousness in man does not transcend that of man, and so it is for the majority of men, then this very factor implies incarnation in matter and death, seen as transition into different forms with unavoidable temporary darkness and gaps in consciousness. But when our consciousness reaches the supramental realm, the realm of the eternal, unchangeable spirit self, the unchanging reality, then death is simply transcended and does not exist anymore. Now can be understood the truth of the sayings of the great Rishi when he denies reincarnation in the realm of spirit, but otherwise speaks about it as an established fact. From his point of view, both death and reincarnation are only illusions and do not affect the real self, just as our body is not affected by a change of dress. The Vichara throws light on every path.